going, got the live stream for YouTube going, and we're on our way to get into the news today. I'm super excited to get into it. There's a lot and a lots to get into. So, yeah, we're gonna wait a second to get the notification for YouTube, plug that in, and go for it. Okay, so guys, today we will be talking about sustainable fashion, environmentalism, and social justice. So, yeah, I'm Ellie. If you don't know who I am, the audio is working perfectly. I'm glad you can hear me. And we'll get started. I'm super excited, but also very just aware of what's happening. And it's not a very fun time out there with the protests. There's a couple of protests across the world, um, which we'll get into, like the ICE protests happening in LA, Colorado, and Chicago, to name a few. And we'll get into other ones as well. So let me share my screen and show you how all of this functions. So here is the live stream. This is the bread and butter of my live stream. So basically I work out of a Canva deck. So if you guys are ever curious what's happening and don't want to stay for the full live stream, which I get it, you guys are busy people. I'm impressed you guys jump on for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So thank you for sharing your time with me. But if you ever want to know what's happening with sustainable fashion, environmentalism, like social justice stuff, I always put everything in this Canva deck every single time I'm going to go live. So this is public, it's free, you can download it or look at it with the link in my description. I don't ask for anything in return, I just like to be aware of what's happening, and if you can't like stay, then like that's fine. You can browse, you can preview, you can skip ahead if I'm like going on tangents, which I do a lot. But yeah, streams of collective consciousness is something I do twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 p.m. Central Time to 6:30. If you're new here, hi. I already have a chatter. What's your name? Screen Fun. Hello. Hi. So we're gonna get started by just explaining how this works. So I always start off with sustainable fashion news. That's always top of mind for me because I'm a sustainable fashion creator. I always forget to take a break. I mean, at this point, like the 5 p.m. break is, it's a theory. The 5 p.m. break is a theory. And then I do talk about social issues. So we'll talk about the LA protests, the Chicago protests, which I mistakenly called riots in the beginning of this week on mistake. But we'll learn more about that. And then there is always eco news, which is deeply tied to like fashion. So I always kind of like talk about that throughout the stream. And then I do talk about like positive news, and then some fashion shows. And I do game. I've been gaming Wednesday. So yesterday I gamed for the first time ever in like 15 years, which was kind of scary. I don't think I did that well, but you can't really mess up with Bratz games. I streamed Bratz Rock Angels. I used to play that when I was like 10. And I went well. It was mind numbing, but it went well. So I'm going to do that again on Sunday as well at the same time, 7:30 Central Time. But if you guys ever want me to talk about anything, here is the community submission form that I always use. So feel free to submit it. So you have to fill out your name, like your email, what you want me to talk about, and then I'll talk about it in the next live stream, so it'll be Tuesday. Just because I'm like super picky with what I choose, and like I only stream for like 2.5 hours or like 3 hours, and like I don't really do this professionally. I just do this for fun. So I just need a lot of time to think about what I'm gonna say. So yeah, getting into it before I start, I always like to do like a personal like update about what's happening in my life, because a lot of you guys who watch do know me in person as a person, you know, like you have met me or whatever, but if you don't know me, I always like give a chance to explain who I am. But yeah, I do a lot of YouTube videos. I am struggling to edit a lot of the videos I have, which I think is a perpetual problem for YouTubers. Like they have so much filmed that they can get overwhelmed or like not know how to I sounded like I was gonna cry. not know how to edit it or like prioritize stuff, but I do a lot of like projects, which is kind of like a good and bad thing about me. I love projects, so live streaming is one of like quote unquote my projects, which has brought a lot of you guys in and personalized a lot of things that often feel very abstract or like you only read in an article. So I'm like happy to humanize news and just like be myself. Like I don't ever really consider myself an expert. Like I don't think I'm an expert in any sense of the word. And I always say humans are not experts because we're always learning. But I mean, we gotta trust the doctors. You know, in some cases, we gotta trust the doctors. So sometimes there is experts in some fields. But yeah, I feel like I'm a normal person. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I'm struggling a lot with editing. I did go to a museum of African fashion like a month ago. It was free for me. Um, so I like did the whole context, the journey, behind the scenes, fun vibes, you know, and it's been sitting in my computer for the longest time, so I need to get to it. Maybe I can knock it out tomorrow. It's like a very simple vlog. I don't really overcomplicate vlogs. Um, but I've been working on this fashion is inherently political video for such a long time. It's been like 2 months. I was trying to work on it today, but my brain was not coping. I am also actively looking for full time work, or at least like 20 to 30 hours of work because I already do work 10 hours in another place. So even if it's like a part time job, I am looking for that. But the job economy, the job market is horrible right now. So it's not looking too good, and that has me a bit worried. So I'm trying to keep myself optimistic that I will find something. I've been focusing a lot more energy onto Depop, but that's very slow moving, and I like immediate reward. And Depop right now is not giving that. Like it's a very time heavy process to like find clothes, take the photos and then like sell them hopefully, and it takes a while to see the progress. So I'm kind of struggling with Depop at the moment. And I've kind of been inactive to be honest, but I will be on that for sure next week. Like I've been procrastinating being on Depop. So those are like the major things: finding a job, working on my YouTubes, live streaming, getting into gaming, keeping up with the news. Everything is like so hectic all the time. I feel like there's like 100 tabs open in my brain right now. So if I'm speaking very slowly, I'm so sorry. I just also woke up from like an hour nap. It's like 90 degrees in Illinois. And I am not a summer baby. I'm like a fall person. I love the winter. I was in Montana, living in Montana for 3 years, and I was perfectly fine with like the -10-degree weather. But when it became like -20 or -30, that's when I was like, no, I can't, I can't handle this. So I love the cold weather. It's just after a certain point I don't. But -10 was like fine for me. I even walked to work once in -10-degree weather, and it wasn't like out of my choice. Like it wasn't like a free will thing. Like my car broke down, and I was like literally walking to work in -degree weather because I didn't want to spend money on Uber, and I was like, I can tough it out. I can walk this, which I did until I started getting sick. But yeah, I lived in Montana for 3 years, and then went back to Illinois, and Illinois is like humid. It's actually like hot during the summers. Actually has a normal seasonal weather going on here because Montana, if you don't know Montana, then their weather is like so messed up. Like it's cold when it's supposed to be hot, and it's hot when it's supposed to be cold. Like it's major climate change vibes over Montana. But here in Illinois, like it's hot. It's hot. It's June. It's 90 degrees out, and I'm sweating. I'm in my Hello Kitty shorts. But yeah, that's like all the stuff that's been happening in my life. There is like a Spider-Man museum in Chicago. I don't remember like the specific museum, but that's happening. So maybe I can vlog that. Lots of things are always happening in Chicago. I'm also to end off my personal rants before we get into the news. I'm also thinking about how to make in-person podcast episodes. I haven't really been enjoying the way I've been doing my podcast because they're just on Zoom or they're just me ranting about stuff, and that just kind of like irks me that I'm just complaining. So I want to bring some more positive vibes to my podcast. It's called Sussy Talks. And there's this like creative studio in Pilsen that I recently discovered that maybe they can let me borrow their couch or their location, and then I can bring my own cameras. Or they can give me tips on what cameras to use because mine like shuts down every 20 minutes. So if you're like filming a podcast that's like an hour, you have to like turn it on like 5 times. So yeah, I want to reach out to them, but I'm kind of scared. But I do know a lot of Chicago people, which I didn't realize until I started brainstorming. And I was like, I could do an in real life Chicago based like podcast that features sustainable fashion girlies and like ego conscious like baddies and stuff like that. I do know a lot of people. It's just I kind of forget because I don't leave my house. I don't like leaving my house. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on. That's what's top of mind. But nothing too exciting is happening in my life. But I love live streaming. That's what I've increasingly discovered. I love it so much. I think it's so straightforward and all you have to do is yap, and if I like nap beforehand and prep and know what I'm gonna say, like it works out for me so well. So I'm happy that you're here. I've been seeing that people are watching more and more of my live streams, so I've been growing faster than I thought I was only gonna get like 10 views for the next year or something, but people are actually watching. I'm doing live streams now on my PC. My camera is working better because of the better lighting, which is a good thing to note, so I don't have to buy a new one. Um, but yeah, I feel good to get started. Thanks for listening to the Yap session. Hopefully you learned something. It's just my personal life. It's nothing too exciting. I'm just a normal person, I guess. Um, okay, let's see. Let's get that out of the way. I do need another monitor though, so you don't have to see the behind the scenes, but when I click out of that black screen, that's like the system that controls the live stream, and it's just like chaos. It's chaos up in there. Okay, so first of all, I do want to talk about how France has advanced with regulating, or what I call banning, fast fashion. Maybe I overhyped it in the title of the live stream, but yeah, France is basically trying to curb ultra fast fashion. So let's take a look at this and see what Routers has to say about it. But it's been all over different medias. But Router says that France Senate approved a revised version of a law that was regulating fast fashion. It recently happened like a couple of days ago, which will be implemented. And oh, so if it was to be implemented, it would ban the advertising by fast fashion giants like Shein and Temu. So senators in the upper house of the parliament, wait, what? So senators in the upper house of parliament voted almost unanimously for a modified version of a bill that would basically reduce the environmental impact of the textile industry. So that is superb. I know it's not like entirely banning Shein, which I would want, but it is banning ultimately like the advertisement, you know? So that's good. I'll take the win. I'll take the win. So let's see if there's been any news medias that have been talking about this. Do you guys like my new mic? I've been using a new mic and it's kind of like all up in my face. But I kind of like it, but I kind of like the other mics. I'll keep switching back and forth. But let's see what YouTube has to say about this. Euro News.
So you think you know Wix? Do
Nope.
you really?
No, I don't know Wix. I don't want to know.
Buy and quick to toss, fast fashion has flooded the French market. In the country alone, 35 clothing items are thrown away every second. And now, French lawmakers are trying to rein it in. On Tuesday afternoon, the Senate gave sweeping support to a new bill aimed at regulating the industry. The target, Chinese giants like Shein and Temu, accused of pushing low-cost clothes at a high environmental cost. The proposed law introduces eco-taxes of up to €10 per item by 2030, bans advertising, and restricts influencers from promoting such brands. But critics argue the law has been watered down under pressure from the fast fashion lobbies. European brands like Zara and H&M are spared from the harsher sanctions.
On a un texte qui va cibler 2 enseignes et donc qui va laisser de côté ce qui représente au moins 90% de la production et des vêtements vendus en France. Donc c'est vraiment une occasion ratée d'avoir un véritable texte avec une ambition et des possibilités environnementales réelles et qu'on regrette énormément parce qu'on voit finalement que c'est la protection économique qui va devenir le moteur majeur de ce texte, alors qu'à la base, il y avait vraiment cette ambition de faire évoluer le secteur vers des pratiques durables.
But some French lawmakers argue the bill needs to protect European industries first.
Malheureusement, on n'a pas le choix. Aujourd'hui, il faut défendre encore ce qui nous reste de ces filières qui sont européennes et qui, finalement, non. Il faut distinguer la production qui est faite en Chine par ces personnes et la production de ces géants chinois. On est sur des échelles qui sont 100 fois supérieures. Donc, eux, on les préserve pour le moment parce que sinon, il ne nous restera plus rien.
The bill still faces a final review by a joint committee in September and approval from the European Commission.
I love that for France. I've been hearing about this a lot. I actually did an article on this quite a while ago, and it is coming from like right-winger politicians, oddly enough. But let's see what else is said that we can understand, because they be speaking French, and I don't know French. I don't know what they be saying. Please, I don't know. Please. Okay, let's see what these people have to say. France 24, English 44 minutes. Okay, we're not gonna watch the whole thing because I'm a normal person, but let's see.
I switched from due dates to due dates, and it made
You switch from due dates to due dates? Dude. What are you doing? Okay, let's see.
How to stop our needless overconsumption of cheaper and cheaper clothes that pollute the planet. France's Senate passing a bill to curb advertising and tax pollution on fast fashion. Lawmakers even talking up the distinction of ultra fast fashion, garments made in a hurry, more and more using polyester and other polluting plastics, shipped at warp speed by plane, and which fall apart after just a few washes. Has the bill been partially stripped bare, though? The new version seems to include a carve-out for European giants that peddle cheap clothes. The focus now mostly on China. In fact, Europeans, like the Trump administration, are working to close the tax loophole on the kind of small parcels that go out by the millions from small garment factories in China. And while the likes of Shein and Temu enroll big names to lobby, including a former European commissioner and a former interior minister of France, we'll ask who's winning the hearts and minds of consumers in this battle over an industry that surveys say represents up to 10% of humanity's carbon footprint. Today in the France 24 debate, we're asking clothes at what cost. With us, journalist Dana Thomas, the author of the bestseller Fashionopolis. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
His advocacy group, part of the Stop Fast Fashion Coalition, Pierre Condamine, who has got a pretty cool title, Overproduction Campaigner.
Yes.
Thanks for being with us. For the advocacy group Friends of the Earth, Les Amis de la Terre, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Malo Bourrel-Uyghur is Director of Public Affairs at the Sustainable Business Rail Company, you said.
Yes, of course.
All right, we'll be joined from Nice shortly, where he's attending that United Nations Conference on the Ocean by Danish member of the European Parliament, Rasmus Nordqvist. By the way, on the go, you can always listen to the show wherever podcasts are streamed. 1 year after France's National Assembly, the Senate unanimously approving the measure, which now goes to a joint committee of the lower and Parliament. Just a few figures, the French currently add an estimated 48 clothing items per person a year to their wardrobe. That's 5 times more than was the case 2 decades ago. 35 clothing items are thrown away every second. Now, this new version of the bill leaves out French and European brands such as Zara, H&M, Kiabi, Decathlon, and instead focuses on the Chinese.
This law, as it stands, will make it possible to really put the brakes on these Chinese giants that are invading us without any controls, any norms, and without paying any taxes in France.
Dana Thomas, this bill that passed the Senate, is it a good news story?
It is good news. It's still a bit toothless compared to what we really need, but it's a first step. Fashion is one of the least regulated businesses out there. California has passed 2 laws in the last couple of years to try to deal with overconsumption and throwing away of clothes, and also wage theft of sweatshops in downtown LA. But the EU has passed a bunch of laws where they're trying to do things like traceability. We're all going to have digital IDs in our clothes to say where they came from, what they're made of, and where they've been after you've gotten rid of it, coming in the next year or two. But this is like really targeting the biggest problem of all, which is waste, throwing stuff away and selling way too much.
Selling way too much. Just give us an idea of how much.
Well, that's one of the reasons we need this. No one really knows how much clothing is produced every year. They say roughly 100 billion items, new items, but I've seen between 80 billion and 120, so that's why we say 100. But nobody has to report how much they produce, so we don't have those figures. And we buy 60% more than we did just 15 years ago, which is kind of mind-boggling, especially when you have COVID in the middle of that 15 years where we weren't buying anything or producing anything or wearing anything. And we throw away so much. Only 2 or 3% is recycled. A dump truck of clothing goes into landfill every second of the day of used clothing. We wear garments an average of 7 times before they're thrown away, and in China, it's been reported to be 3 times.
Pierre Gondamine, you heard Dana Thomas there mentioning COVID. Kind of was an accelerator, wasn't it, for fast fashion?
Well, it sort of stopped during COVID, so we were like, maybe, it's really going to slow down, but right after COVID...
But we got in the habit of buying stuff online.
Yeah, it was mostly more like decoration thing, but when it comes to clothes, it's indeed slowed down like for 2020, 2021, and then it went back even higher than the levels before. And we saw those, Chinese giants just like Shein and Temu appearing at that period, and so, yeah, we saw that after 2022, we went back to the level of 2019 and then even higher. And now in France, we're at 3.3 billion textile items that are bought every year.
Okay, so lawmakers keen to emphasize the term ultra fast fashion, which is all about, expediency in the design, the production, expediency delivery. You get influencers in social media marketing, faster supply chain use, production in small batches, small sweatshops, as Dana Thomas was saying, and micro-trending. So you pay attention to what consumers want, and then at the sweatshop, they change what they're doing.
I've never heard a debate on fast fashion before, so this is actually quite interesting to listen to.
This term, ultra fast fashion, is that legitimate?
Through plane shipping. But if you look at Zara, that is considered, like European fast fashion, traditional fast fashion, they also ship a lot with planes. So what they do basically is that they accelerate the trend of fashion renewal, which is fast fashion, but they take it to the higher level, but the condition of production are the same, basically.
You mentioned Zara, the Spanish company, which has been accused of using cotton from Xinjiang province in China.
But what we've seen are public positioning from decision makers saying that they don't want to impact Zara, H&M, Primark, and so on, which is the issue for us. The goal of the bill, the original motive, was to have a regulation of the whole sector towards sustainable practices. But if you narrow the perimeter, the scope of the law to just Shein and Temu, you make it a protectionist law. But more important, you make it a law that protects European fast fashion, such as Zara, H&M, Primark, because they won't be sort of bothered by Shein and Temu. And we know that those companies, not only they have disastrous environmental and social impact, but if you look at the economic impact they have in France, in the EU, it's also bad because the rise of fast fashion in the textile sector and in the clothing, in the retail sector also had an impact.
Malo Bourel-Uyghur, do the members of your association make a distinction between European fast fashion and Chinese fast fashion?
I would tend to say that it's not relevant debates. We can talk about the terms, the definition of it is fast fashion, it is ultra fast fashion. What is really important now is to have in mind that there are reasons why we have this bill in France. You know, for many years, for decades right now, the situation of the textile sector in France is very difficult. The companies suffered, the factories are closing, and this trend has been accelerated this last month with the closure, with the financial difficulties of a few, let's say, famous and well-known French brands, such as Camailleux or Naf, for instance. And why do we have this situation for quite a long time at some point? The reason is, let's say, very simple, and it applies on the industrial, on the textile sector, but also on a lot of other sectors. We are in an economic system that gives a competitive advantage of doing wrong. When you are a company, when you are a business, especially in the textile sector, you have a competitive advantage to externalize your social and environmental costs and your environmental and social production, which leads to a lot of delocalization, the closing of these companies.
Outsourcing, yeah.
Of course. So we have this bill also because we need, and it is the voice of our companies too that suffer every day, and it's very important to have very quickly the adoption of this law, to have a protection for these companies, to protect our jobs, to protect our companies.
And when you hear Pierre Condamine saying he's worried a little bit because we don't know whether it'll be how this will apply to European giants that also do fast fashion.
No, it's.
Do you share that worry?
Of course. I would tend to say that we should make a distinction between two proposals of this bill. The first one is the prohibition of publicity for
That's huge.
For fast fashion or ultra fast fashion companies, and there is, let's say, a flu on what will be the definition chosen by the governments, and it could only include, and as Pierre said, it could include only Shein and Temu, or it could also include, let's say, the European and French fast fashion brands. And there is also another proposal of the...
So what do you do in that case? For instance, if, let's say you've got the sporting goods outlets, Decathlon, which sell a lot of clothes, a lot of cheap clothes.
Fast fashion too.
No, of course.
And so will Decathlon be banned from advertising?
I mean, it could happen, and we hope it will happen. I mean, the idea of this law is not to punish any company. The idea of this law is to incentive companies to stop adopting, let's say, harmful practices. And it's not about Decathlon, about Shein, about any other brand. It's about having, let's say, a textile economy that is more fair, and that enable companies to stay in France or to stay in Europe, to create, let's say, a circular economy and an economy that work for the people and for the companies. And for the moment, we don't have this competitive advantage for companies to stay. It's more easy and beneficial for companies to go in Bangladesh or in Tunisia, for instance, where you have very low wages. In Bangladesh, the minimum wages is $100 per month. In France, it's 15 times that. So at some point, and this is the other big proposal of this legislation. So have this introduction of publicity, but there is also a bonus-malus system that is for us very important because, on the one hand, it will let's say tax the companies that have, let's say, harmful practices. That create overconsumptions that produce all over the world, but not in Europe, not in France. And on the other hand, the money that comes from this tax, which comes to French, let's say, virtuous companies. And it's basically what we completely defend at Impact France Movement, and we will continue to be mobilized in the next months for having a quick and ambitious law.
The advertising part is really, really big because
I've recently come to learn that a lot of founders and marketers don't quite know.
Can you imagine a world where there was no ads in magazines? That kind of is what reminds me of what's happening here. Is fashion fashion without fast fashion ads? I think not.
Pushing addiction. We overconsume fashion. If we stop making clothes today, we have enough new clothes on the planet to dress ourselves in new clothes every day until 2050. We have an overconsumption and overproduction problem. And the advertising, of course, pushes that addiction. But banning the advertising is an interesting study. I'd love to see how it impacted, the banning of alcohol and the banning of cigarette advertising. Did that really impact consumption of alcohol and cigarettes? I'm not so sure. I see lots of kids smoking in the streets, even though they don't see the ads anymore of like Joe Camel smoking his cool cigarette. So will banning H&M and Zara from advertising change the way young people shop? I don't think so.
All right, well, it should be pointed out, and by the way, I noticed that Malo Bourrel-Uyghur is sporting a nice cotton T-shirt for this program. It turns out that polyester is the new cotton, overtaking as the fabric of choice for the 21st century. According to these statistics published by the environmental group Plan A, polyester, which is plastic, and plastic, which winds up in the ocean. And that's where we can turn to Nice and Rasmus Nordqvist, who is attending that UN Oceans Conference. You're downstream from this debate, literally here. And without going into the specifics of the French bill that's on offer, when it comes to Europe, legislation, do you see it as something that, again, right now, what's being discussed, is it, as was said earlier by Pierre Condamine, pro-environment or protectionist when it comes to fast fashion?
I would say that many people try to make it about protectionism and try and make it about this new term of ultra-fast fashion. But I think it's really true what's being said in the studio, that this is about a business model, about putting too many new collections out to the consumer and through advertising.
Well, okay, that's enough for that. My internet is bugging out. So sorry for the internet problems. I don't know what's happening. Even though the PC is the only thing that internet is connected to, it's still bugging out for some reason. And it's like right next to my computer, so I don't even know what's wrong. But yeah, there's a lot of contention around this topic, obviously. So we're definitely going to be hearing a lot more conversations about this. I mean, I think there's a lot of pros that there's going to be no more advertisement for fast fashion in France. I think it is an example others should take. Yeah, we don't got like 40 minutes to hear this out. Okay, so we're gonna see what else we can talk about as the stream is getting better. Okay, I turned off everything, so this should be working. Give me 1 second for technical difficulties. It seems like the internet's not strong enough for the PC system, even though it's the only thing that's connected to it, which is very worrisome. Give me 1 second. I know I've been glitching out. I think it's the weather, but I have no idea. Let me see. Okay, so it seems like it's working now. I don't know what was happening. The only thing connected to the internet is the PC. But we're going to move on. There is a lot of things that we can learn from this. I do think it's going to be an example moving forward. And a lot of people are talking about this, to be honest. It's been on news sites everywhere. And I am excited to see how this progresses. But From what I've done in research, like this is not coming from leftists. This is coming from more of like those right-wing people that want to bring fashion back to France out of their own self-interest to like get the fashion economy going. Which is a good and bad thing. Like everything is incredibly nuanced in the fashion industry. Like we can't see things in black and white just based on ideological identities. But I mean, I'm not a far right person. Let's see. Okay, so over here, I saw another site talk about this called Vestiaire Collective. I wonder what they're saying about this. Why am I getting all the notifications right now? Okay. Okay, let's see about this. Vestiaire Collective has been a huge endorser of like banning fast fashion and supporting these sort of efforts. I've covered it in past live streams, so let's see. Okay, so here's this.
Hey friends, some news in sustainable fashion yesterday when Vestiaire Collective bans fast fashion from their website. So if you don't know Vestiaire Collective, it's a pre-loved site and second-hand marketplace for the premium luxury end of fashion. It does sell a whole range of things like Urban Outfitters, H&M, Zara, Nike. It is slightly swayed towards...
So obviously this is an old video, but they've been trying to quote-unquote like ban fast fashion for quite a while, and they're getting closer to it. I mean, France is doing a lot of progress. I do think we have to think about like ads in the fashion industry a lot more critically if we want to like start moving towards sustainable fashion a lot faster. But the thing in my head, oddly enough, that's sticking through in this whole like quote unquote debate of like localized French fashion industries is like, if we stopped putting ads in magazines, like would it be a magazine? Like if we stopped advertising fashion, would it continue to be fashion? If we didn't promote things, would it be fashion? Like I feel like branding and like commercial aspects to fashion is all so intertwined. So like if clothing was to just stand on its own, if there is no like extreme exposure to it, like would it have the appeal that it has right now? Like there's so many posters downtown, for example. This picture kind of shows that. There's so many like pictures, there's so many videos, there's so many influencers promoting stuff. But if the clothing stood by itself, like let's say against a blank wall, would it sell on its own without knowing the brand, without knowing the context, without knowing the lore of it, or like the what's called the lore? I don't know how to describe it. The allure, the lore, it's two different words. Like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like when you go to a Goodwill bin, everything is like put in like in like huge bins, and you don't know what brand it is until you like take the individual piece and you have to specifically look at it. But like on the outside looking in, everything is just mixed together. Everything is just like tossed in there, you know? So that's kind of what this is giving. Like Shein is kind of losing, and Temu is kind of losing its like competitiveness. It's like vibe, basically. If they can't like sell this story, they can't like mythologize it, maybe the prices will be enough to like get customers back in. But honestly, like Shein and Temu stuff are not that pretty, but most people are exposed to the website, so maybe at this point no ads isn't like a huge thing. I feel like every single person on earth knows what Shein and Temu is, sadly enough. But I mean, I think the net positive here is like reduced exposure to those not aware or are not thinking about buying Shein or Temu. So I mean, it can be good. It's just we do need a lot more regulation. So I'm curious whether that regulation is going to come from far right politicians or like far left politicians, because it kind of depends on the country, right? And as Trump has been setting an example, like he quote unquote is like a sustainable fashion advocate in a way because he wants to bring jobs back to the United States, right? He wants to make things locally, and that's a lot of what slow fashion / sustainable fashion ethos consists of, like doing things locally on the ground, hire locals, right? Use local fabrics, whatever. But at the same time, he's kind of like destroying LA's garment district because he just detained immigrants illegally because they're not born here, even though they make our clothing. So there's nuance there, but I don't know how our Mr. President expects us to make stuff in our home country when like the skilled laborers are actively being villainized and criminalized, because like the typical American that's born and raised here isn't entering the field of the garment industry. Like the garment industry is very stylized for fashion designers. Like they just want to design, or they just want to like do their local brand or whatever, which is a huge generalization. But they don't set out to be like, oh, I'm going to be a garment worker. I'm going to actually like work an assembly line or like sew millions of pieces every day. Like that's not what a fashion designer, like fashion brand, set out to do. At least that's, I guess, my perspective on like studying fashion design. But like who is going to actually make these clothes is always a question I'm thinking about. Like if France wants to bring localized fashion back to the country, like where's the artisans at? What's their programs to like get these skilled garment workers to make the clothing? And like how are they going to compete when Shein and Temu are like out competing even the best fast fashion brands, like what is it, Zara? Like I don't know how France will effectively compete in midst of like Shein's and Temu's power, but this is like a good first step forward. I just kind of like want to see a more systematic approach to this. And they don't really explain. Like we can analyze the bill, obviously we can go ahead and do that, but it's just like one step. They didn't even mention what the law was. Like what's the name of it? Okay, I think it's a good moment to like explore what this actually means. Because I don't want to assume. Like I just have a lot of questions. I don't even know the name of the law. Like, can I read the law here, or are people just lying to me? I'm always suspicious. The thing about me is like within my journey of like fashion and like consumerism, I'm always asking questions. Like whether people like it or not, I'm always going to be asking questions. Like if you don't even know what this bill is called, like how are we going to even trust this is going to be a good thing for us, the consumers, and also for France, and also for like other brands? Like we can't just like assume the worst or the best of what's happening. So I don't see anyone mentioning what the bill is called. Where is it? They voted on it though. 337-1. No, it doesn't say what it's called in this one either. Okay, so it seems like it's a mystery what this bill is even called, because no one is even mentioning it in the articles, which is kind of like bad for the news. Bad journalism overall. What's going on? If you have to dig through a million articles to find the name of the bill, then what is this journalism? For the normal everyday person, how am I supposed to be educated? Blah blah blah. No, in Fashion Network, do your journalism better. What is this bill called? Oh, this is actually really frustrating. Da, da, da. I don't want to like market myself, but I did write an article about this, and I think I mentioned the bill name there, but it was like a while ago. I have a blog and I do blog posts on here, and I wrote about it. So let's see, where is it? I think I mentioned the name. Everyone likes to message me when I'm on live stream. Okay, let's see. Was it back in 2024? Was it that long ago? Guys, it's so hot. I can't even think straight. It's like 95 degrees. I can't find it. There's no search bar. No, can't find it here either. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Yeah, I can't see it. I can't find it. So, French? Maybe let's do French fast fashion bill. I don't think this mic is gonna work. It's in my way when I type. Okay, let's see. I'm complaining over here. It's hot. I'm sweating. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, it's not a specific single bill number. It refers to a suite of measures and regulations. I kind of don't trust AI overview, though. It's a proposal? Oh, no, this is old. Give me a number. Guys, I'm trying to be educated. Okay. Let me turn off my notifications. Everyone is, like, notifying me about stuff. Okay, let's turn this thing off. My phone is going off and it's annoying me. Everything is pissing me off. Okay, let's see. That is off. Okay, we're gonna move on just because nothing is showing up here and I'm getting really frustrated with everything. But that is journalism. I'll do more research. It's just a lot of vague language and I feel like journalism or like articles right now are just copying and pasting everything else, but that's basically the gist. But I'm excited. I mean, it's progress, right? It's progress. Right? But there is a lot more contentious things happening. Like H&M is moving towards more private ownership. So I don't really know what that means. I know that a lot of brands have like shareholders. So what is the difference between shareholders and private ownership for a major fast fashion brand? I have no freaking idea. No one ever explained this to me ever. If you're a business phenomenon, let me know. But it's always good to track what major brands are doing because they be actively destroying our earth. So I feel like we have an obligation to be like, yo, what are you actually trying to do? And they're actively exploiting people, and their business practices deeply impact others, especially the most vulnerable in the global south. So this is a very, very good research and context to understand like how they're moving, what maybe possibly where they're going and their business strategies, how to like predict their moves. Nothing is showing up on YouTube, which is kind of normal because no one covers fashion news, hence I'm here. I wish I could watch my own live streams. Okay, so right now H&M is not privately owned, but it is moving closer to private ownership. Do you guys trust AI overview? I kind of don't trust what this is, but Bloomberg actually covered an article on this. So that's gatekept under a paywall, so not Bloomberg. Nice. Yahoo Finance, please help me. Okay, perfect. So it says the fast fashion retailer has been listed on the Swedish stock market since 1974 and is slowly moving back towards private ownership. Okay, we know that. So what does that mean? So the founding family has stepped up purchases of H&M shares, spending more than 63 billion kronor. Okay, what is? Okay, so that's $6.6 billion since 2016 to amass nearly 2/3 control and fueling speculation that it would take the Stockholm-based company back into private hands despite denials from family members. But what does that mean, though? That's $6 billion we're talking about. So it's good to know that this family is one of Sweden's wealthiest families. So Zara... Oh, wait, no, it's H&M. So H&M, the major fast fashion brand, has made Sweden's wealthiest family, and they have built a growing stack through holding company Ramsbury. How do you even say that word? Ramsbury Invest, saying little about their intentions other than that they believe in H&M, which was founded in 1947 by Erling Persson. Erling, what is wrong with you? Why would you make a major fast fashion brand? Your family is wealthy, but bro, your legacy screwed with us. Those that actually care about the planet do not like you. So the media shy clan. Oh, they're media shy. They're the wealthiest, but they're media shy. That's so cute and frustrating. So the media shy clan, who is very wealthy, is now getting within striking distance of full control of the retailer. What does that mean? Within striking distance of full control, which in recent years had been losing ground among other shoppers to its main rival Zara and ultra fast fashion brand Shein. See, this is what I'm telling you. Like, even H&M and Zara is struggling to compete with Shein. So, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, if France bans advertisements of Shein, like, does it really do much? I'm optimistic it will, like, suppress them a little bit more. But, like, if H&M cannot even compete with Shein, it's kind of concerning. Like, we need to like take Shein down into a freaking prison cage if it's a entity, which legally it is. It's like its own being, you know, own legal breathing thing beyond human life. So they go on to say that this is something we've been talking about for years and would doubt that the direction things, oh my god, guys, it's 90 degrees out, okay? This is something we've been talking about for years. And few would doubt that the direction things are headed. I don't even know what he said, sir, but he's doubting that the direction things are headed. Oh, if you would doubt that the direction things are headed. That made no sense, Mr. Linton. So people are not doubting the direction, okay? And he is also a representative of a small stock investor group. So if the family doesn't plan to take H&M private, it should communicate that more clearly and stop buying shares. Okay, that was passive aggressive. If you don't want to take H&M private, then stop buying shares. What? So are they buying shares? There's a lot of drama here. Okay, so the family is buying what? They're ramped up insider buying. Bro, I don't even know what this is. Insider buying. Okay, there's insider buying. The family's doing this, and they're reinvesting dividends, boosting its H&M stake to almost 64% from 35%. Are they just trying to do this to make them seem like better, like they're doing better? Like, oh, we bought this so the reports are going to look better. Is this their way of like competing and like getting more people to buy from them because supposedly like they're now like more successful on a report or something? Like what is happening here? So the family is now in control of roughly 70% of the capital and 85% of the voting rights. So it seems like they want total control. Is that what's happening here? Why? Why? Are you going to exploit more women? Are you going to tell more people to go starve and keep working for 12 hours? Is that the goal here? Do you want to get richer here? Like, what's going on here? Mr. Person families. I am curious who they are. I wonder if they, like, fall asleep nicely at night. Are they like, dang, I exploited that one lady, but it's okay, I'm wealthy. I'm, like, one of the wealthiest families in Sweden. You know, what's their thought process here? Are they happy with themselves? Are they good? Let me look them up. Do they got a consciousness? Oh, okay. Google. Persons. Sweden. This is what I do on a Thursday evening. Family. Yes. Okay. Dang, he's a billionaire. Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh. $17 billion? Stefan. Swedish billionaire businessman. Net worth of 17 billion. How many women did you exploit, man? Oh, he's the son of the founder. Dang. Are you happy with yourself, Stefan? Okay, here's the family. Let's look at them. These are the people behind the exploitation and suffering of innocent people in the global south. Okay, so moving on, they say that Where was I? Where was I? I was gonna say a lot of mean things about them people, and I control myself, so let me get to it. Says, Carl, the grandson of the founder, dismissed talk that the family intended to take the company private. There's no plans. We just buy because we believe in the company. Right. That's how shares work. I do think that it seems like they are going to take control. I mean, why would they buy more of their own shares? And no one knows what's happening, so they're acting very mysteriously. So I want the tea, but I have to be part of the family, to know what's happening. So a lot of people are estimating that if the family keeps acquiring shares at the same pace, a buyout would come as early as 2 years from now. If the family's holding reaches 90%, it would request a delisting of the shares. Oh, interesting. I do think that's going to happen. It seems like that's going to happen. But I wonder how this is going to impact the most vulnerable. That's always my focus. I don't care about like Nepo babies. I don't care about wealthy people. I don't care about brands. I always care about the global south and like if things are going to improve. So will the fashion industry improve if H&M becomes a privatized business? Would this make things better? That is my question right now, because from what it looks like, having shareholder stuff going on has only made them push to be more aggressive and try to compete with giants like Shein. And then someone's like, this is emotional based and not financially based. Yeah, right. I don't trust that statement. Stefan, who built H&M, is deeply invested in the company's future. This man is still alive and trying to scheme. He has $18 billion, like we just saw, and he's one of the richest person. Oh no, he is the richest person in Sweden. H&M has made the richest person in Sweden. I'm gonna leave that because of the ad. Can you believe that? H&M made the wealthiest man in Sweden. If we underestimate the power of fashion, we just have to look at Mr. Stefan. I kind of like that name though. I like the name of Stefan, but I don't like this Stefan. He owns, okay, look at this. He owns this estate, a 3,000-acre Ramsbury estate. He bought it in 1997. That's actually the year I was born. And he expanded it to a 19,000-acre estate. He built a brewery. I don't know how to say that word because I'm Mexican. Distillery. And an oil press on his property. Bro, why do you need this? People are dying for this clothing and you're over here making a freaking brewery? Now this is so dystopian. It's giving late stage capitalism. Yeah, guys, let's have an oil press on the property while people actually die for the clothing that we're producing. And then we're going to create body image problems for young teens so they can believe in our marketing and they can continue to buy and feel like they belong to like the brand. Because, you know, they have to feel cool somehow. You know, they got to buy into the system while we make our distillery. Yeah, it makes so much sense, dude. And his son, actually, Carl, took over H&M in 2020. So he's been serving, not looks, but serving something. And he is an active role member in the investment process. And he has voiced frustration in interviews with the stock market's short-term focus on maximizing profits. Dude, have you heard of business? Bro, why are you frustrated? It just seems like he's not making enough money. He's falling short of his dad's shadow, it seems like. Why do the stocks have to be all about money? Dude, that's called capitalism. I have a problem with it too. You can become a socialist, Carl. Carl Johan, become a socialist. If you care so much about how the stock market is about profits, become a socialist. Who are you, Mr. Carl Johan? Have you heard of something other than capitalism? Carl, you still have time to make it better. I feel like I'm going crazy talking to a computer, so I'm going to move on. I feel like I've lost track of the plot, but basically they're trying to move towards private ownership. Hopefully this makes the business more ethical and sustainable, but I don't know how it would change procedures or strategies and how it could make their carbon emission goals move faster. I don't know how this could help provide more ethical productions in the workplace. I don't know how this could move towards more sustainable measures, how this could provide more of a balanced consumption pattern for people. Like, how do we ensure that people are not over consuming? Like, how do we make sure that they're no longer producing H&M collections that are like essentially greenwashing the heck out of everyone's closet? So yeah, I just kind of wonder, like, is he actually going to care about doing something good? And it even says here that H&M has been criticized for the lack of transparency, but this is more so over management changes, and it's also being the only company in Stockholm's benchmark index that does not disclose the shareholdings of its top executive team. So we don't know who the shareholders are. We don't know who's in charge. We don't know who's like influencing H&M, which is actually kind of scary to think about, because if we had this information, maybe we could pressure them to vote in our favor or vote for the things that we as people deserve and what the planet deserves. So we need more information. We need more information. We need the information. Someone said that if the company disappears from the stock exchange, they wouldn't have returns from the stock market. So they need strong companies listed. So if they made the company private, it could cause deterioration in stock's liquidity. I don't know what this means. Guys, I'm just a girl. Okay, so it's going to affect the stock market if they go private. So I am sure there's going to be more articles about this. There's just suspicions right now that they're going to go private. This kind of made it seem like they were moving actively towards that, but we don't know. It's just suspicions and rumors. But that's just good to know, so we're aware of what's happening. But at least I'm aware personally that I don't even know who's in charge of the voting of H&M. So like, if they vote on something, how am I supposed to know who did this? Who's behind it? Who can I target? What can I campaign behind? You know? Who's the villain of H&M's story? But like I was saying, there's a lot of brands that are struggling to compete right now with Shein and Temu and stuff like that. And one of those is Torrid. I actually really love Torrid. They are a plus size fashion retailer I would see in the mall. And they're closing 880 stores. A news article. I do think I'm going to end the live stream a bit earlier. I'm like hyperventilating over here. It's like hot. Torrid closes stores. But I do want to get to the LA protests, and there's a lot of other stuff that are happening, so I'll try to hang on. Let's see. Okay, so people.com actually talked about this. So the clothing has been worn by celebrities. Okay, cool. But they're closing 180 of their stores in 2025. And this comes from a reporting that says they've done a decrease in net sales and gross profit margins. Let's see what else I can find. 9 people are watching. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys are learning. I am sacrificing my mental health for this. No, I'm kidding. It's just hot. It's just hot over here. I do think I need another fan. I'll bring another fan for next Tuesday. But it says Torrid is closing their stores. They've been losing money. And transformation to a more digital-led business, which includes optimizing our retail footprint. Oh, so they're going online. No, I don't want your ad. We now plan to close up the 180 underperforming stores this year, allowing us to reduce fixed costs and reinvest in areas that drive long-term growth, including customer acquisition and omni-channel enhancements. Okay, those are some big words. So they want to reduce costs. Okay, cool. And they want to grow more online. Yeah, having a store must be expensive. They're closing the one in Chicago? Dang. Aren't they a fast fashion brand? I'm not really that familiar with Torrid. Let's do some YouTube investigations. If you guys are curious how I do my research, I just go to YouTube and like look it up. Honestly, there is no real trusted place. I just kind of take all the information in and just kind of analyze it and like come to a theory of what's happening, because there's a lot of suspicions, especially when there's like no trusted like susty fashion news site. It's all like corporate bought media, and I'm like, I don't know if I can trust this narrative. So always just kind of like see where you can scope things out. There's like no perfect route for this. I do think they're fast fashion though. But my mom used to go there, and I was always like, oh, Torrid, so wholesome. They're size inclusive. I love that. I love that. There is nothing much on Torrid. Nope, I don't see nothing on YouTube. I will do one last Google, and then we'll dip out from this topic. But oh, okay, good on you, directory. I sometimes go on this one, and they are kind of expensive. Oh no, they're rated not good enough. Dang, that's like my worst nightmare if I like look myself up and I see not good enough. Wait, where's their photo at? They don't got no photo? Give me 1 second. Let me check the Wi-Fi. Okay, so they're pricey, not good enough. Planet-wise, 2 out of 5. People, 2 out of 5. Animals, 4 out of 5. Why animals? Do they use animals? That doesn't say if they're fast fashion, though. Supposedly they use fewer lower impact materials. Interesting. Having tech problems. Okay. So, also there's no evidence it's taking meaningful action to reduce water use. And there's no evidence it sets a greenhouse gas emission reduction target. And there's no evidence it minimizes textile waste in its supply chain. And there's no evidence it's taking action to protect biodiversity in its supply chain. Dang. Dang, dang, dang. I do think it's fast fashion. Let me see. Technical difficulties. Stand by. People, stand by. Stand by. Stand by. Is this ASMR vibes? Stand by. Okay. It doesn't say. It does not say. Appears that they use wool. I love Torrid. Why do you have to go? They will be online though. They will be online. One of the things that I noticed when I've been selling on Depop is that a lot of people are looking for like plus sizes. It's so difficult to find cheap, affordable options if you're plus sized, because they like charge you more for the additional fabric, which I don't think is ethical. Like, no one should be charged more just because you're like bigger, like physically, you know? Like, yeah, you use fabric, but that's on you to cover it, man. Like, don't put the cost on us. Don't discriminate here, man. I know it's the white man making these clothing, so, man, please don't do this anymore. But they were pricey. Torrid is pricey. I've been in their stores in the mall, and it was just like $50 for one thing, and I was like, bro, what are you doing? But it was cute stuff. And that's rare to find like plus size items for good prices. And cute. I do wish they told me if this was fast fashion. Okay, I can't find anything, and I do want to move on. Okay, so I saw Nike has made a very interesting partnership that we shall look into. So, according to Nike, there is a partnership with something called NorBlack, NorWhite, to celebrate Indian culture and craft in a vibrant new collection. So here is what they want us to know about it. So apparently the collection invites women Let me move this over so you can see. Yes. So apparently, the Nike NorBlack Norway collection invites women into sport with contemporary footwear, apparel, and a crossbody bag that celebrates Indian culture and craftsmanship while promoting freedom of movement and expression. Wow. So they will apply the look of the bandhani. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I'm so sorry if I didn't. Which is a traditional Indian tie-dye technique to sport forward silhouettes designed to move with women throughout their everyday lives, whether they're in gym, on the move, or unwinding in style. Isn't that what clothing is supposed to do in the first place? Just be with you? Okay, so included in the collection are vibrant tops, bras, a short, and tight. And tight. Nice. And tight. As well as 4 footwear styles and crossbody bag that completes any look. It will be available June 11th, so it's been out for a day. You can get it at Nike.com. I'm not going to go because I'm not sponsored by it, but I don't know how to feel about this because it is using this like symbol of cultural connection that they make explicit. And they're working with a brand that supposedly has a commitment to Indian craftsmanship. So do you guys agree on this or what? Because, I mean, it can be a good thing to celebrate culture. But Nike has been notorious to, like, not be the most ethical or use the most sustainable methods of production. But they say that they're trying to introduce their community to more colors, more patterns that are steeped in Indian culture. And that the partnership started with a deep admiration for the crafts, practices of India and the people who bring them to life, says the brand's co-founder of the Indian brand. So the collection shines a light on the rigor, dedication, and the ancestral knowledge that's rooted in Indian culture. And we hope each piece inspires women to draw it into their own athletic mindset while navigating everyday life in India and around the world. I mean, it's a very nice narrative. I feel like it's a very like wholesome what they're saying, but I do not trust Nike. I do not trust Nike with the life of me. But that is just my bias. But they say that the collection is rooted in the practice of bandhani, a centuries-old Indian tie-dye technique that was mentioned beforehand, that creates these intricate patterns that are synonymous with modern and traditional Indian style. So given that, what they say about like the patterns and like the style, I do wonder how and where they're being produced. Like if it's produced by exploited Indian women, I think that's going to be like the most ironic thing out of everything here. So I need to know like the practice of how it's being made for them to actually live up to this ethos, to this concept, to this theory. Because if you're just saying pretty things and it's not followed by action, you're just a hypocrite. You're just saying things to say things to look nice, and I don't really care about that at the end of the day. Like, it's your actions that matter to me, and if you're just saying stuff to, like, make me buy something, you just lied to me for my money. That's what you did. You lied to me for your money. For my money. For my money. Not your money, my money. Okay? So, apparently they worked together. They made this together. And when you wear this, they want you to feel comfortable in your own skin, which I agree. I agree with this, you know, because we're all on our own journey. We want them to feel cool and collected through the colors and be ready to take on challenges and build strength and resilience through the patterns. Dang, that's poetic. That's poetic, man. Okay, and they continue on to say, guys, I'm getting the ick with this article. What are these men talking about? Okay, so, and then they also want women to have fun and own the spectrum of hues, all knowing that we as women aren't here to play. Huh? Oh, so are you a woman, Emrate? Oh gosh, I just called you a man. I'm so sorry. Okay, that was my mistake. So, what you're saying as a female, we're not here to play. What about this background, though? What about the Bratz games? Can we play those? No? Okay, so we're not here to play. Dang. We're not here to play. Okay, so they have a hoodie, a tank, a crop t-shirt, consumerism moment, and they have bras, and they have a crossbody bag like they mentioned, and they have featured this on a wrestler, a sprinter, and cricketers, which play cricket. And they want the collaboration. Oh, what are they talking about? It says, what really hits different from other campaigns is that this collaboration is designed right here in India by a local collective that gets our vibe. So it's designed by a local collective. Maybe they can make them there. Fingers crossed, right? That's the goal. Wearing Nike laced with Indian culture is a flex. It's bold, it's rooted, and it's ours. As a woman in a sport that's often seen through a male lens, being part of a campaign like this is my way of saying we're not just showing up, we're here to take over, win big, and look fab while doing it. Hell yeah. I mean, the looks are pretty, don't get me wrong. I do like the vibes. I do need to know though where they're making them. I will support if I know where they're making it. You know? Let's see if they have like any more context. I do want to trust this brand. But Nike, you don't got a good reputation. Okay. Let's see. Is this it? The collab we've been waiting for.
Best at what I do, trying to put my best foot forward.
I don't think this is it.
Everything I do.
Oh, this is a commercial.
In collaboration with Nike, NorBlack and White have unveiled a colorful two-piece ensemble for summer 2025.
I don't think this
that
is it
features
either.
The Motiva silhouette and the comps line.
No, they trolled me. They've trolled me. They've trolled me. Let's see what he has to say about this.
This is not your average collab. Nike teamed up with the label NorBlack, NorWhite to drop a collection rooted in movement, culture, and craft. This entire collection is inspired by bandhani, a centuries-old tie-dye craft from India. Such a cool and beautiful way they have incorporated this into athletic wear. The sneakers are incredible, which, looking at this picture, Nike socks with these beads on them, styling is just beyond. The campaign is brought to life by people like Anshu Malik, a wrestler and Nike athlete, Priya Mohan, a sprinter and Nike athlete, Jemima Rodriguez, a cricketer and Nike athlete, Shafali Verma, cricketer and Nike athlete. Everything about this collaboration is just so...
Why am I glitching out? Nike, are you behind my glitches? Where is this made? Where is this made? I think that's the important question. It shouldn't all be about aesthetics. I mean, it's good that they collaborated with this brand in the sense because it worked with the local collective and like it's celebrating Indian culture, but like if it's not actually bringing positive change to local communities, then it is just aesthetic action. It is just to look like you're doing something. It is just to look like you care. It's just to look like you're promoting empowerment, or just to look like you're doing a good thing. If your production practices do not align with your like mission or the ethos, it is a lie. Until they tell me where it's made, I will not endorse. That's what I stand for. Oh, and talking about Nike and H&M again, they are currently facing climate greenwashing claims. See? They're always in murky waters. They're always in murky waters. So they will be analyzed right now. So if you don't know, H&M has had past eco-conscious like collections that have turned out to not be that conscious because they just lied. But they've been struggling to cut down carbon emissions in Asia, which is sad because that is the global south and they deserve better. But a report released by the Business and Human Rights Center titled The Missing Thread, as many as 65 brands reported flouting flouting the carbon emissions norms, and out of these brands, 44 labels had made public commitment to reduce their carbon emissions, but they've been failing miserably. So in short, they fell short. And they supposedly are doing like this just transition policy. I've covered it in the past as well, that they're gonna have this plan or they're gonna do this stuff, but it never actually plays out. And they can do so much, you know. That's why I'm like, well, if you're like the wealthiest man in Sweden, you can like reduce your carbon emissions. And the article goes on to explain that the guide says that only 4 companies furnished guidance on heat-related stress, and just 2 companies, Index and Caring, started promoting workers' welfare. So Natalie, who's the labor rights program manager at BHRRC, expressed decarbonization as a dangerous shortcut, and also talked about how brands should take additional responsibilities of engaging with trade unions and workers who are not only vulnerable to climate change, but also facing danger with the company's limited response to their welfare. With the fashion industry on its way to being more responsible, apparently that's like the goal, right? There's still a lot of carbon emissions being released. So I like how she says brands should stop hiding behind greenwashing slogans and rather focus on building a cleaner and fairer and more resilient industry that caters to both people involved and planet. So what does that say to us? That they're lying, that they're not really doing anything, and they're not reducing carbon emissions like they're saying that they are, which is a shame because we are in a climate crisis and we need to take more action. We don't have a lot of time left, and where else are we going to go? That's always the question I ask myself. Like, if we don't take care of our planet, where else are we going? And we don't need all this stuff. It's just clothing. It's not that serious. I like clothing, but like, if I had to use what was in my closet for the next 20 years to save my planet, I would gladly do it. It's like a small sacrifice in exchange for like something much greater, which is like future generations' well-being and like a chance for us to actually have a good life. Am I glitching? Okay, so I'm probably gonna move on to the protest section because my internet sucks. My internet sucks. But if you want to see everything else, it is down below. Like, you can learn how Lululemon is now using recycled materials from a company called Marta Eco. Nice, right? Right? Nice. That should be nice. And let's see what else. Oh, Stockholm Fashion Week is coming back. Gonna do a rapid news bits here. Stockholm Fashion Week is coming back, baby. More fashion. More passion for fashion. And then students turned old football stuff into fashion, and these are the fits. See? Cute. Cool people are doing cool stuff in Toronto. They're doing clothing swaps. People actually do care. It's just it doesn't seem like it from the outside looking in. And then there is a museum on the impacts of fast fashion in Washington. So it showcases the wastefulness of fast fashion. So if you want to look at that, that's at the Washington Post News. And the links are always here at the side. Now, what I want to get into before I lose my mind with all my technical difficulties and the heat and my frustrations with the world is on June 14th, there will be a protest. I think it's going to be one of the biggest protests that we're going to be seeing in quite a while because Mr. Trump, the Orange Man, is going to have his birthday. Or I was gonna say a lot of mean stuff, but I calmed down here. But like this thing says, people still hate you, Mr. Happy Birthday, Mr. Trump. So yeah, the No Kings protest will be on his birthday. Go there if you feel safe enough to go there. If you're privileged enough to go there, please go. Please participate. Demonstrate your people power. Demonstrate that you're not in alignment with this clown. and be part of a community, you know? Stand up. Show that you believe in something better than this man. I personally will not be attending because I no guarantee it is going to remain nonviolent given the violence that ICE and police and everyone else always carries out on protesters. So, there's no guarantee you will be safe. But if you want to participate, go to www.nokings.org where you can see where everyone is showing up. It is going to be massive. Massivo. I do not even know if there's going to be one in Chicago. I'm sure there's going to be one in Chicago. That one looks like... Oh, Bloomington? Whoa, that's close by. Champaign? Courthouse? Well. Danville. Don't know where that's at. Carlinville, Illinois. Effingham, Illinois. Charleston, Illinois. It's everywhere. Urbana. And they're all at different times too. I'm losing my voice. I have to definitely leave soon. But it's everywhere. Look at. I'm so proud to be on this side. What are y'all doing? Why is it so empty? Okay. I'm self-combusting, but I'm so proud of what's happening here. Everyone is showing up. See? Sometimes that's at 2. It's at 2. Sometimes it's at, 11. It's gonna be massive. There's gonna be trainings. There's one right now, today. There's gonna be another one at 8. There's gonna be another one on the 16th. Get involved. If you can, obviously. But here is what No Kings is about. So on June 14th, Flag Day, President Trump wants tanks in the street and made-for-TV displays of dominance for his birthday. A spectacle meant to look like strength, but real power isn't staged in Washington. It rises up everywhere else. No Kings is a nation day of defiance. From city blocks to small towns, from courthouse steps to community parks, we're taking action to reject authoritarianism and show the world what democracy really looks like. We're not gathering to feed his ego. We're building a movement that leaves him behind. The flag doesn't belong to Donald Trump. It belongs to us. We're not watching history happen. We're making it. So on June 14th, we're showing up everywhere he isn't to say no thrones, no crowns, no kings. It doesn't, he doesn't give democracy vibes, He gives like fascist vibes. He's definitely someone that I would happily put on an island by himself and punish him. This man is weird, I do not think he's right for respect and dignity of human beings. Like, what is he actually working for? Like, what is he doing at the end of the day that's benefiting us, the normal working class people? I don't think he respects people. I don't think he treats others right. He says the most audacious claims and he doesn't back it up. The way that he's villainized immigrants has been horrible. I think he's just actively destroying everything that makes us true, good people. And these are huge blanket statements, but history will prove what he has done. I do not need to go into full extent to what he has done, but Mr. Trump.
Every day,
Mr. Trump is not the man for the people.
Across this country, something powerful is happening. People are rising for each other, for democracy, and for our collective freedom. We have chosen not to live in fear or let division destroy this country. We believe in something bigger than ourselves and the promise of freedom and justice for all. But now, our rights and our freedoms are under attack. We can point fingers, or we can take action. This spring, millions of us united for one of the largest peaceful protests in the history of the United States. Together, we told Trump and his billionaire administration to keep their greedy hands off our health care, our veterans' benefits, our public lands, our rights. Courage is contagious, and now we're taking to the streets again on Saturday, June 14th for No King's Day. While Trump wastes tens of millions of taxpayer dollars on a military parade for his birthday, acting like a wannabe king, people in every state have organized over 1,800 events in their communities to uphold democracy and protect our rights. People standing side by side for the future we all deserve. We don't do kings in the United States. We believe power belongs with the people. Join us on Saturday, June 14th. Go to nokings.org to find the protest near you.
There you go. Trump is trash. Trump is truly the most horrible president I've had. And it's sad because I've already lived through his presidency when I was in college, and now being in my late 20s, it's actually very, very frustrating to see him again in leadership when we could have such a different person leading. I mean, I didn't like really Kamala Harris. I think she was problematic in her own right, but it feels like we're going backwards every single day. And like, that's kind of like my motivation in live streaming, to be honest, so that I can have a way to vent and talk about things and like have a justification for being angry in a certain space, because sometimes I need to like not be angry. I need to like contain myself. I need to like act quote unquote civil in midst of like the world falling apart. So if you can participate in any way you can, I'm sure it will be cathartic to say, you know, fuck you, Trump, or like show your pride in America, but in a different context, beyond fascism, beyond indoctrination, beyond violence and chaos that the government has inflicted upon the poor and working class. And there was some recommendations that you instill or put some sort of concept of the American flag on your posters, on what you're going to wear, so that you are not as targeted by police, because it is supposed to be a patriotic, nationalistic sort of day. So there's like this idea or this thought or this sentiment, whatever you want to call it, that if you like incorporate some element of the American flag, you will be attacked less, or there's less likelihood you'll be inflicted violence upon, which it's kind of crazy to say. It's kind of crazy to think about. But if you're going to participate, please stay safe, and please go in a group. Please have a support system. Have someone you can call if something happens. Be careful out there. If you have privilege, please use your privilege. If you can't go, I'm sure there's many other ways you can get involved. But highly recommend going on the website, No King's Toolkit. They have a bunch of things here. They even have like pre-printed stuff and guidelines of like what you can do. You can plan your event. There's still time to plan something if you want to do something locally. Like some people are congregating in courthouses, some are like just doing their gatherings where they can. So it's not like there's going to be like a huge sort of like congregation in like certain places. I'm sure that will maybe happen in big cities, but I think overall it's going to be like small groups everywhere, just kind of like meeting like-minded people and like expressing their sentiment of like how much they hate Trump. So it could be a good place to meet like-minded people and like just release the anger and the frustrations that you've been having. But just please stay safe, and if you can't go, then you still hate Trump. You know, that doesn't disappear just because you don't go. Just because you don't attend doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you don't hate Trump. It's just you don't have maybe the privileges or the time or the ability to go. But I trash talk Trump all the time in my living room, so I highly recommend it. So yeah, nokings.org. and I'm sure we will be seeing this unfold on Saturday. I'm not sure if I will cover this in real time just because I do work from 4 to 8, which I'm kind of scared to work that night because people are going to be out and about and I don't know what's happening in my local city. So I'll try to stay safe because I'll be working. But yeah, maybe I'll do a live stream at night on Saturday. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see, people. We'll see. But talking about more protests, there was a recent Chicago protest on Tuesday and against ICE, against illegal I can't even think straight anymore. I'm so frustrated and hot. Illegal kidnapping of migrants. It unfolded all late at night.
Create a voiceover using your own